Yeah, appreciate everyone being here. Excited to get ready for week two. Much easier going into this week after you have a victory. A lot to clean up from that victory. Really hard, really proud of how hard our guys played in the game. But there's still a lot to clean up, and we're looking forward to the home opener this week, and we're excited. So I'll open it up.
Thanks, Coach. Again, for our media, use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask those questions. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Coach, easy discussions about AJ Swan's performance, but for me, your performance against Charlotte in Charlotte, the defense. I mean, you guys 6 sacks, really harassed the opposing quarterback all game long. Just what's your overall reaction to your defensive effort in that game on Friday?
Yeah, great question. And we were excited about how we played. There's a lot to improve on, but we were also really happy with the way we recruited in the portal and the high school, especially up front. And we feel like that should be a strength for us. And those guys showed up and played well. And a lot of credit goes to Coach Shack and Coach Glitch because those guys played extremely hard. They got after the quarterback. It's really hard to operate your offense when you're playing from behind the sticks and the quarterback's getting hit a lot. Even when they're not sacks, he's getting hit, it still affects his psyche as well. So it all starts up front on both sides of the ball, and that's the style of play that we want.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, coach. Dominic hits that big field goal right before half, then comes out, hits another 35-yarder in the second half. I'm just curious, does that kind of change the momentum of the offense and, the way you guys can kind of go about things, knowing you have good from up to 50 yards, in your back pocket for 3 points?
Yeah, Dom's done that all camp, so we knew exactly what we had with him. He's got a great demeanor. He's done it in games. Cam Little, one of our kickers that was at Arkansas with us, was on the sideline. He's a Jacksonville kicker that hit the big field goal a couple weeks ago, the 70-yarder. But yeah, even he said to me during the game, he's like, "Hey man, this guy's demeanor is right. Like he's got something to him." And our team has a ton of confidence in him just because of the way he performed through training camp, and then you go do it under the lights in a game. So we feel very comfortable putting him out there when we need to.
Let's go back over to Adam.
Yeah, coach, and then getting into your quarterback's play, AJ, obviously has the big yards, only takes 1 sack in the game. But really, I mean, he got 10 different guys got a catch in that game. So what did you see between, is it just AJ or is it the depth of your receiver room, something that really made that kind of performance possible?
Yeah, Adam. And it was really what we wanted from our quarterback position is just to run the offense, and that was our message to those guys the whole time. And we didn't tell AJ he was starting until the day before the game, and because JJ's a good player as well, and we told him that our expectations were for him to run the offense, and when one's open, you take it, and if one's not, you progress to two to three, exhaust your progressions, and when it's not there, you throw the ball away. There's a phrase we use a lot in the offense is aggressive as can be in the timing of the play. And so we want these guys to be aggressive. We want them to take chances. We want them to take a risk. But when it's not there, you check the ball down, you throw it away. And I thought AJ did a really good job of protecting the football, but also being aggressive. And no point was I ever like, he's Charlie checked down. He's exhausting his progressions. He's taking the shots downfield when they're there. So really happy with the way he ran the offense. It was really efficient, but still aggressive. And he needs to have a great week of practice and do the same thing this week.
Back over to Billy.
Yeah, coach, I was just curious, just a quick one here. You guys coming back home to Boone. Um, you've talked so much about the love and support that you felt, and just from your perspective, what do you think this home game means, not only for you, but for the community and for the school?
Yeah, it's a lot, but more importantly to our players. They're the most important part of this whole thing because they're the ones who make it go. They're the talent. It's our job to put them in great positions, be successful, and let them go do their thing. And we feel really good about our roster and the way we've recruited and the way we've developed and the way we've practiced. And so I'm excited for those guys. I remember the spring game. I know I've talked about this, but you go out there and there's 15,000 people sitting in the stands, and I just the way that those guys talked about, oh, Coach D'Lo, look at the stands, man. They showed up, and just the excitement they had. So it's going to be even a bigger atmosphere for this one. So I'm fired up to get to be part of it myself in the home opener. But I'm so excited for our players that they get to have the opportunity to have a great week of practice, get better from week 1 to week 2, clean up the things we need to clean up, and get to play a game in front of our home crowd.
Now let's go over to Avery.
Hey, good morning, Coach. And Avery Hall, ESPN Plus with Appalachian Sports. Coach ran the ball effectively. Talked about AJ being, I saw he was 20 of 27 and with passes behind the line of scrimmage up to 10 yards, which was impressive. And I thought that was strategic coaching, but evidently it was him making good decisions. But talk a little bit about your offensive line. I thought with all the new faces, I thought they played extremely well. I thought they got after people's tail. Talk a little bit about the offensive line.
Yes, sir, Avery. I agree, and I think on both sides of the ball up front, we got after their tail, and that's who we want to be. We want to build this thing inside out. Was pleased with the effort they played with, and there's so much to clean up because we were very efficient in the run game. I think we averaged 4.9 a carry. I think R-Dub was right at 5 yards a carry. Need more explosives. Only had 3 explosives in the run game, 12 total, 9 passes, I think. So we need that next part of it to finish and strain in the blocks. But the initial pop, the initial surge of physicality was there. The pass protection was there. And so it was a great start for us versus a well-coached team. Got a ton of respect for Coach Albin at Charlotte. Like, he's going to get that thing going. He did it at Ohio, and he's going to get it going there. But it all starts up front for us, and I was happy with the way our guys played on both sides of the ball up front.
Hey, thank you, Coach.
And we'll take one last question here from Wes.
Hey, Coach. Wes Pruitt, 4-Star Sports Media. Coach, your first win as a D1 football coach. Was there anyone special that you reached out to? Any former coaches that you work with?
I don't know any, special. Like, it was obviously my family was there for it, and I had used a lot of tickets for the game, and some of my 4 or 5 of my college teammates from Arkansas were at the game. I talked to my college coach Houston Nutt, my high school coach Randy Allen at Dallas Highland Park, and without those the mentors in your upbringing, and the guys really inspired me to be a coach, my high school coach, my college coach, and just so appreciative for those guys teaching me what football is about and the game of life, like how there is a direct correlation with football, and there are no great victories in life without overcoming hard things. And so appreciative just for my wife and my kids and my high school coach and my college coach, because I wouldn't be here without those people, and extremely blessed and humbled to have those people in my life.
Thanks, Coach Loggains. Appreciate the time today.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Disappointing, just kind of way we played. But, the positive is there were some good things that go on, and one game, 4 quarters doesn't define what our season is going to be like. You could look back to last year. I think we won the opener by 40 and didn't have the kind of year that we wanted to. So the key for us right now is to just get better every week, to clean up the mistakes that we made in the game. And just grind, that's all we know how to do, and to keep working. We got the whole season ahead of us, so we're excited about the next challenge.
All right, for our media, use the raise hand function. We'll call on you for those questions. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach Beck. You've had a lot of time to process Saturday's game, and then watch some film and obviously turn the page. But what are some things that specifically from the Virginia game that are going to be points of emphasis this week in terms of improving your team, getting ready for, your home opener?
One is special teams. We didn't execute very well in some of the areas that turned into big plays, maybe even swung the game. We had a down punt on the 8, didn't have the right guy in the game, had a penalty, had a repunt, and it got blocked. It was a change of 62 yards of field position in a 7-0 ball game in the second quarter. So big momentum swing right there. And so gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown. So those are some things that we have to clean up. Like, we beat ourselves in a lot of areas. We had 4 turnovers. They didn't have any. We weren't very good on third down. We need to be better on third down and stay on the field offensively, but also get off the field defensively. So those are going to be big areas of emphasis this week.
We'll go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. I just kind of wanted to follow up that on the offensive side for third down. What were you kind of seeing, and what do you think are some things to maybe specifically work on to continue those drives? You had a couple of first downs here and there, but how do you continue those drives and put points on the board?
Well, I think the greatest quote I probably ever heard to be really, really good on third down, don't be in it. Like, so we got to do a better job of maybe making some plays on first and second down to eliminate third down opportunities. Second, give yourself some good third down opportunities. We hurt ourselves and in a lot of the drives we're in a 3rd and 3 in a tie ball game in scoring position. And our captain, a guy who started, I don't know, 15, 16 games for us, snaps the ball over our quarterback's head. And we lost the ball in a 0-0 game in scoring position. So they're hard things to witness because it doesn't happen much. It's almost like Halley's Comet comes around once in a while. It's kind of what ended up happening on something like that. So for us, we can help ourselves in third down, obviously, by not being in it or being in more manageable third down situations.
Always glad to get a win. We celebrate all wins. They're hard to get in today's college football, but thought we had a really good night. You had to overcome, I think, around 5 lightning delays, and to start the game, we were able to get it played. Thought our players came out and defensively. We played, solid early. We were able to stop the run and slow them down and really, get the ball back to the offense. I thought offensively, execution wise, it was really poor the first 4 drives. We had 3 holding calls in 3 of the first 4 drives that made it either 1st and 20 or 2nd and 22 or 2nd and 20. And one of them was off of a touchdown. So, and then we had back-to-back drops and then a false start to make it 3rd and 15. So really poor execution, offensively, the first 4 drives. We were able to settle down after that and start moving the ball and get a field goal. And then we were able to come out in the second half and have 2 really good drives that we were able to put in. And, overall, I thought we played really good on defense. We stopped the run, got a shutout, first shutout in 15 years at home. So a ton of positives. A lot of guys, they need that experience. They need that situational football. But, obviously there's a lot of things to clean up. We feel like we've got a long way to go. We like where we're at. But we do understand that we've got a long way to go to continue to get better to be a good football team.
We'll open up now for questions. We'll kick it off with Billy.
Hey, Coach. Not only just Braylon's performance, rushing, but you had 4 guys that were over 7 yards or right around it. Is that going to be a key component of your offense? And, what are kind of your thoughts about the running back room and their performance this past weekend?
I thought our running back room as a whole had a great performance. It's a room that we feel really good about. We feel like we've got 5 guys that can play. Last year we were kind of a Ahmad Hardy and give him a breather and throw the football. And now we feel like with Braylon McReynolds, with Zach Palmer, with even Dorian Lewis, and then you've got Deshaun Ford, and then you've got Tyrell Reed. So really, I thought they all ran the ball well. There's little things they got to hit. They didn't hit some as fast as they should. They were a little bit timid on just a couple snaps. I think that they'll continue to get better at. But overall, I thought we ran the ball hard, rushed for 311 yards, which is something that, that's our staple is we got to be able to run the football first to set up everything else we do. But our running backs had a really good night, and they've still got a lot of improvement, and they know it, but I like where that room's heading.
Go over to Adam.
Coach Vincent, you guys are 5 of 5 in the red zone. So when you get down there, the execution, I'm sure you're pleased with most of that. But 5 of 12 on third down. What were some of the things you wanted to see, or you're going to want to see your team do a little bit better in terms of execution on third down?
The thing is that hurt us is, we were still 42%, so we were 5 of 12, and we feel like winning is 40. Championship is 45 plus. So if that's by our standards, but you go back and you look at 3 of them, it's 3rd and 19, it's 3rd and 15, it's 3rd and 16. It's those holding penalties put us in, that 2nd and 22, 2nd and 19, and we're trying to cut it in half to get it manageable. And when you don't, it's just hard to execute those third and 15 plus. So we just got to do a better job of eliminating pre-snap and during the game or during the play penalties and really just execution. I mean, we had 6 drops um, Thursday night, and those are things that, we're very confident in the guys that made the drops, and drops happen, but you can't have a plethora of them, especially in critical downs.
Let's go back over to Billy.
Yeah, coach, and I'm just curious your thoughts, going to Tuscaloosa and what is kind of the mindset there? It's always a growth mentality and what do you really expect to challenge your team with this week?
The biggest thing is we understand what we're up against. Alabama spent 27 years in Alabama. I know all about the tradition and the pride and really just the program, especially probably the last 10 or 15 years. It's going to be their home opener. We know there'll be over 103,000. It'll be loud. It's going to be a game. There's going to be a lot of speed and a lot of power. It's something that we've got to be able to prepare. And I feel like we have as much as you can with the noise in certain situations, but we've just got to go up there and play our style. Alabama got a ton of respect for them. One of the top 5 programs in the country. And, biggest thing we got to do, it's about us. It really is. It's about us. We've got seven away games. This game will help prepare us, whether it's UTEP, Northwestern, Coastal Carolina, Southern Miss. We've got 7 road games, and this is the first one of the 7. And being in this environment and playing this type of program, this caliber of program is going to help us. And we need to be in that fire. We need to be in that smoke and really see who we are and see how we execute and see how we play together and see how we handle, those, I guess, external factors with the crowd and the noise and just really, we're looking forward to it. I mean, this is what you kind of dream of. You dream to go into Bryant Denny and to play a football game. So our kids are excited about it. It's another game. Let's go out there and play and see where we're at.
Thanks, Coach Vincent. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Go Warhawks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good team win for us on Saturday night. Again, I keep talking about our home crowd here, but they are phenomenal. The sold out crowd, the students were here, everybody showed up in droves, and the amount of support that was here was certainly something we were really, really proud of. And I said it in my press conference after the game, but congratulations to Hall of Fame class. That's a big deal. And obviously to get a win on that day was great. Thought we played some good football. We did a really nice job. We were efficient as can be on offense at the beginning of the game. First 4 drives, putting the ball in the end zone. And then we slowed down a little bit and then didn't score again until I think it was the 11th drive. So, some things we definitely got to clean up and a whole bunch of things we got to work on. But I was pleased that we didn't set ourselves back a lot in the penalty category, which was an issue for us in game 1 and 2 a year ago. And then I thought we did some really good things in the red zone. And obviously defensively, I thought our coaches had the team as prepared as possibly, could be. Special teams, I thought, showed up as well with the block punt and then, did some other good things throughout the day. But I thought a good team effort all the way around. I thought, a lot of different guys touched the ball. A lot of different running backs were involved in the run game. 2 quarterbacks, offensive line rotated through for the most part. And there was a lot of guys on defense that showed up and made plays, and even more guys that were gaining more and more confidence and trust in the special teams department, which is, going to have them showing up on the regular offense and defensive snaps here shortly. But I thought a really good opening day. Things we got to obviously clean up, and that's what you want for the first one. So, overall, pleased with where we ended up.
For our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask your questions. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Coach Chesney, you kind of just talked about it, and you're pleased with the effort of the special teams, but this was sort of another staple of your team last year. You guys made plays on special teams. You got things going. You got, rejuvenated the offense, gave the defense rest. But obviously, as special teams is, it can be a rotational unit, even before the season, during the season. What's sort of one of the things that you're teaching the guys that are playing snaps on that unit and emphasizing the importance, and how do you get to this level of impact that they're making on your team?
Well, it's the first thing we start with when we come in here as a team is that we talk about our offense, being the confidence of the team. We talk about our defense being the spirit of the team. We say that ultimately the special teams is the heartbeat of the team. Without them, we can't go very far. So I think our guys understand it. I understand that nobody came here to, run down on kickoff, but at the same point in time, this is where they start to, begin to develop their own belief in themselves and their own confidence in themselves. And then us in turn as coaches have an opportunity to see that same thing from them. You have a guy like Chase Regan, Tyler Brown, guys like that predominantly played special teams a year ago and then found themselves towards the end of the game playing meaningful snaps. And I think that has a lot to do with it. They understand that this is, really the heartbeat of the entire team. Every special teams meeting I am in, Coach Kinne demands a lot from every single player in there. And it's a big deal. And we spend a bunch of time on it. So ultimately they understand this is not, they have to play special teams. They're excited that they get to play special teams, and there's a big difference in there. So I think the emphasis and the importance that we put on it is really important. And then we do have a lot of starters on there as well. So it's not just teams full of guys that, are lucky to make the bus. We have, a lot of different guys playing meaningful snaps on offense and defense that also are playing meaningful snaps on special teams.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. So over 300 yards rushing, over 450 yards of total offense. You guys ran 71 plays. I mean, your defense was impressive as well, but just talk about the offensive flow. And, I know everybody kind of has that magic number, but getting those plays off, running successful plays, how do you think you guys did objectively?
Yeah, I think we did fine. I think we found ourselves, I think we were 7 of 13, 54% or something on third downs, and that's a big deal. But that was the reason, because of first and second down. We didn't find ourselves in third and unmanageable downs. I thought did a really nice job of it. I don't know if the ball hit the ground on the first 3 drives. It was as efficient as it possibly could be. A lot of different guys touched the ball and made plays. And then, we got stalled out a little bit in there. We made the first 4 end up in touchdowns, and we don't put the ball in the end zone again until I think the 11th drive, which is something that we really, are focused on as we go through, this next week here, of making sure that we don't find ourselves in a spot where that happens. But ultimately, there's a lot of different factors for that. But I do think that, we kept the ball. We stayed ahead of the chains. We did not put ourselves in situations where we went backwards. Again, we talk a lot about having 12 to, really 12 drives a game, and we don't want to pollute any of those with false starts or holding penalties or things that pull us backwards, and put us behind the chains. So that was a big deal for us, talking about it as we went into this past year. And I thought we did a nice job of it. And we got, even more to clean up, obviously, as we roll into it. But Alonzo did a great job getting us in the right plays, distributing the ball. I thought the running backs ran really, really hard. The O-line did a nice job. And then the receivers made, some contested catches when they really had to. And that's something maybe we came up a little bit short of towards the end of last season. So pleased with a lot of it, but certainly have a lot of work to do.
Let's jump back over to Adam.
Coach Chesney, and now, turn the page into this week, a little bit of a shorter week, but a big opportunity for the program, for the league. You're heading into Louisville, national television game. What's sort of the message early in the week for the team to get ready for that game?
Yeah, just attack. That's the message, is just attack. The way we're thinking right now, in an attack mode. The way we're practicing in an attack mode, the way we walk through the halls in here, do it in an attack mode. Everything that we are doing, we have to be thinking with that mentality. We're not going in there, to just hang out and be their opponent for the day. We're going in there, for one reason and only one reason. So our guys understand that, they're excited about that. And I have a lot of confidence in, just where they're at and the way they'll approach this week.
Thanks, Coach Chesney. Appreciate the time today.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, first off, I would like to congratulate Coach Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels for winning the football game. We learned a lot from our team. We got to get a lot better in a lot of different areas, but I was proud of some things that we did do well in the game, especially up front on the offensive line. I thought we were physical, but playing a SEC opponent with the type of roster that they have, we couldn't continue the competitive sustaining that you got to have in football, and we have to do a lot better job of sustaining from a competitive standpoint. I want to address the situation that occurred by one of our players that was uncharacteristic of what we want our university to be represented as, and that's not who we are. We did sit him that game, and he has other disciplinary actions that will take place for his behavior, because we can't respond when someone else does something wrong, especially to that manner. So very apologetic to Ole Miss, the player that was involved, and everyone that it offended. With that being said, I open up for questions.
For our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask your questions. We'll start it off with Brady.
Hey, Dell, the news came official this morning. You added TJ Finley. What was the process bringing him in, and any kind of timeline you could put on if he could see the field?
Yeah, actually, he was with us in May. He's been part of our program. We was just awaiting some legal matters and then the NCAA appeal that he had to go through. So he practicing through with our guys this summer. He's been in meetings and all those different things that involves football. But once we didn't get a ruling from the NCAA, I decided not to allow him to rep during camp because I felt like we need to get the other guys ready. So he was not repping from a physical standpoint during our fall camp, but mentally he was there. He was at every meeting. He worked out on his own. And we got the news on Tuesday of the Ole Miss week that he won his appeal. And he started back his acclimation period with an afternoon practice with our strength and medical staff. Then he was the scout team quarterback on Wednesday. He worked out Saturday and Sunday, and he'll be part of the evaluation process moving forward. So this is nothing new. Our quarterbacks on our current roster knew he was here, and they all knew he was awaiting his appeal. We just feel like bringing in guys from a competitive standpoint at every position was the goal in the offseason, and adding him in May was part of that process.
And then wanted to ask on the defensive performance on Saturday. Forced 2 turnovers, won the turnover battle, but also some explosives given up. I guess where does that sit in the balance when you looked at the film?
Yeah, a lot of bust, a lot of mental errors. Can't have that to happen moving forward. The tempo that Ole Miss creates can cause confusion and eye discipline and eye errors by our defensive backs, and it's a learning experience, but very uncharacteristic. And a lot of the points that were scored and the big plays were totally due to missed assignments. So we got to do a better job with the game plan, making sure our players take the game plan to the field, but they got to take ownership in that as well. And our coaches address the Ole Miss game in all 3 phases. We have put that game to bed. We're moving on to a tough Memphis squad. Coach Silverfield has done an outstanding job of elevating that program. They're a perennial power. Like all of us know, they have more NIL money. Their NIL money and revenue share is very similar to a Power 4 school. So they have a very financially fit roster. But I do feel like we learned a lot from our kids from this past game. Our guys are going to fight, and we're going to put a good game plan together and open up at home on Saturday night.
Let's go over to Wes.
Hey, Coach, Wes Pruitt, 4-Star Sports Media. You were just talking about the Memphis Tigers and the upcoming matchup. Of course, we know it's a makeup game for the COVID game of 2020. At that point in time, you were going to play inside the baseball stadium. But, Coach, when you look at Memphis, what are some things that you think that Georgia State is going to have to get ready for the Tigers?
It'll be about us and how we clean up things that we didn't do well. We got to tackle. We got to pursue the football offensively. We got to create more explosive plays, and we got to be a lot better on third down. We were horrible on third downs in the Ole Miss game, and when you're that bad, you can't sustain drives. You can't add other things that we had in the game plan because we were limited on the reps because we were so abysmal on third down. And red zone offense and defense, we have to be a lot better. But they have a 3-3 stack. They run a 3 safety look, something that our conference runs a lot, and we'll see in our conference when we get to conference play. Offensively, their quarterback is very mobile. They have good skill guys on every level. Their offensive line is very impressive. They really fit well, and that kind of goes with the head coach's mentality of him being an ex-O-line coach and the OC who has a lot of experience as well in that position. So they're definitely a run zone read type team. The quarterback is mobile, can make every throw, and they have really good skill guys. But they're very, very sound. They're well coached, and that's why they've been a perennial power in the G5 league.
Let's go back over to Adam.
Coach McGee, I had a kind of an NFL question for you. So Benjamin Chukwuma made the 53 man for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Mhm.
What can you say about him and his development and, you know, his short time in your program to now, you know, he's going to be suited up on Sunday for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 1?
First, I was very proud of him. He actually called me that morning and said, "Coach, I'm gonna make the 53-man roster." So that was very gratifying to us. Sent the text message out to our staff and players just to make sure they didn't disclose that information. But just a wonderful young man. I think the sky's the limit. As you all know, he wasn't involved with football. He was a late bloomer, but a really, really sharp kid, and his willingness to learn. And I also think what he also said was just being in our system helped prepare him a lot, because we are a pro style system and they run a lot of same schemes and verbiage is the same. So that transition also helped with his opportunity to make the 53-man roster. And hopefully moving forward, he'll continue to learn and grow, and his opportunity to be a starter and a Pro Bowler are definitely in the works.
Thanks, Coach McGee. Appreciate your time today.
All right, thank y'all.
Yeah, really good win. Really good way to start the season at home versus a quality opponent. I thought our guys were prepared and came out there and played a good game. So obviously excited about the week of preparation ahead of a really good UTSA team, a team that I think is one of the best, if not the best, G5s in the country. So questions?
For our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask your questions. We'll start off with Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah, hey, Coach, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
I think it was back in 2018, I was talking to head coach Everett Withers just about the series itself. He was like, well, you have to play 3 games just for even to mean something, you know? Just want to know your opinion on the evolution of this series with UTSA.
I don't think it was much of a rivalry. I don't think it was much of a series, to be honest with you, until last year, I guess. So, they're a really good team. And I think Coach Traylor does an unbelievable job. They got really good players. They got a really good culture. They're big, they're strong, they're fast. They got a quarterback that's kind of like their team, the best, one of the best, if not the best G5s quarterbacks in the country. So it's we're just working hard over here to try to figure it out.
Let's go over to Matt.
Hey, Coach, Matt Gerad with My Fellow Sports. Congratulations on the win. Just wanted to ask real quick about the play of your quarterback, Brad Jackson, and how well he looked, and what's that, how's that going to carry him through this season?
I thought Brad looked really good. I thought he did, what he's done in practice all the spring and all the fall. He's a talented, young guy that he made some mistakes. It's never as good as you think, or never as bad as you think. So I thought he played really at a high level, but there's also a lot of plays that, he can get better at, and he can make a better throw, make a better decision. And he knows that. And so I'm excited to see, him progress. Obviously a big game this week and a rivalry game and, in the dome, all those kind of good things. So he's got to continue just to play with confidence and go through his reads and hopefully he can do that.
Let's go back over to Jacob.
Yeah, Coach, could you just talk about Lincoln? Took over the game, looked amazing.
Yeah, Lincoln did a great job, and he works hard every day, and he's a leader, and there's no up and downs with him every day. He's the same guy, and that's what usually shows up, and he's consistent on game day because he's consistent on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So he's just a great kid, and I wish I had a team full of them.
Go over to Billy.
Hey, coach, and just kind of building off that, you had your running back room almost 400 yards. You had Greg and Jalen as well. Just what have you seen out of the running back room, and how they really kind of pushed each other to be that successful on the field?
Yeah, I was excited to see those other guys get some touches and do some good things, because you see it in practice, but that's just one thing to see it in practice. You want to see it in the game. So to be able to see Jenkins go out there and have that long run, and we've seen 50 of those in practice. So it was good for him to finally kind of break. I think it was probably better for him than anything, for his psyche and confidence and all that. So that was really good to see. And then Greg, we've seen that. Greg's 6'1", 220 pounds, and can run, he can catch. So he plays on almost every special teams. So he's just a competitor, loves football. One of those other guys you wish you had a bunch of them. Torrance Burgess is he can do everything. He's great on third down. He can run between the tackles, outside the tackles, great in the pass game, great in the return game, a lot of special teams value. So we feel like we have 4 really good ones. So it's a good problem to have, but you're also, trying to find unique ways to get them involved and get them the touches that they need.
Let's go over to Greg Luca.
TJ, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about this rivalry with UTSA, being around it now for a little bit. What have you learned about how your fan base responds to it? How do you describe what this matchup means to the community?
So, Greg, obviously it's a big game for everyone involved, the universities, fan bases, a year of bragging rights, the players, the recruiting. It's just a big game, and since I've been here, we've lost one and won one. So anytime you go to the Dome, and it's a tough place to play, and they got unbelievable coaches. I think this is probably the best team that they've had since I've been here, and it might not be close. Those linebackers, Shad Banks and Blackshire. I was up here all night. Just it's tough. Obviously, the Wyrick kid at safety is a really talented player. He's smart. He's tough. I think the O-line is probably the most improved unit that I see with my eyes. I mean, those guys are really good. They had a couple of new guys in there. They're big. They're physical. Kurt does a great job with them. They're really well coached. The running back, I mean, one of the most impressive performances I've seen in a while for an SEC team. Obviously with McEwen and Willie McCoy and DJ Allen. I mean, they got receivers all over the place. The AJ Wilson kid had a late touchdown. And then the quarterback makes him go. Very similar to our guy. Kind of just does everything great. He can run. He can throw. He's a great kid. He's a competitor. He's wired the right way. They're doing a little bit more under center pro style approach. Probably getting with Jordan or Josh in the off season. Look like they're doing some really good things from that standpoint. So it's adding some more to our defensive, calls and looks that we got to give them. So man, it's a little. They're just really good. They're really, really good team and really well coached.
For your team to have the breakthrough against them that you did last year, is the mentality as you prepare for this matchup any different with the guys? Do you have to approach that part any differently in terms of the motivation?
I think from year one to year two, year one was more, we just come off the Baylor win and we were very high. They had just lost, I believe, Houston or something like that. So they they had the chip on their shoulder last year. We, it was a game that was just a huge game, and we worked so hard for it. And I think very similar. I think both teams now are kind of in the same boat. Like it's like you just work so hard for this game. Both sides all year. You want your guys to go out there and perform well, and they're super experienced and do a really good job, and so it's definitely a game that you got circled, all year, both sides. I would imagine they feel the same way, and so you just try to put everything you can throughout the off season, throughout the summer, throughout the obviously this week. We didn't do as much this fall camp on UTSA just because we felt like Eastern Michigan was a really good opponent. So but good thing is we played them 2 years in a row, and you have a good idea of what they are.
We'll take one final question here from JJ Perez.
GJ, how you doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Good. Thanks. Hey, just real quick, can you touch on your relationship with Jeff? I guess when was the last time you talked to him? How often you think you'll talk with him this week? And then just what do you think that moment's going to be like with him after the game?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him. I didn't talk to him last week, just game week. I don't think I've talked to anyone. I've had all kinds of people call me. People think I'm probably ignoring them or something. I don't know. Probably talked to him the last week of fall camp, somewhere along those lines. And obviously the relationship is as good as it's ever been. I love Jeff. I think he does an unbelievable job. I think, just watching the program from afar from your Twitter account, JJ, he, you can tell that they're probably doing a lot of the similar things that we're doing as far as a cultural standpoint, as far as a discipline standpoint, as far as the way we're built. So I think the teams are just so similar. If you really look at it, we're just so similar. And I think Jeff just does an unbelievable job. Just seeing him, it's always weird seeing him pregame. It's always weird seeing him after the game. It's probably, it's an exciting week for everybody, obviously, and the competitor, and he wants to win the game, but it is a tough week for sure, at least for me personally. But it's part of it.
Thanks, Coach Kinne. Appreciate the time today.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, tale of two halves for us against Fresno State. Thought first half we did the things to be able to play in a tough venue and have the lead at halftime, making third downs on offense, getting some stops and turnovers defensively, and then went to the second half, and Fresno State played a heck of a second half. We go 0-5 on third downs, and really they go 6 of 10 for the game on third downs, kept drives alive. And, you look at the play count number of them, 72 plays to our 49. That was really the difference, is them staying on the field and us not in the second half. And so typical of game ones, there's a lot of corrections for whether you win or lose. All teams across the country are trying to get better from game one to game two. That's what we're doing this week, staying out in Oxnard, California, getting ready for USC. So with that, I'll take any questions that you got.
For our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask those questions. We'll kick it off with Adam Miller.
Coach Helton, you kind of just mentioned it with, 0-5 on third down the second half, and then, the time of possession issues. But where did you see maybe the largest struggle with the team in terms of maintaining drives offensively?
Yeah, it was really, I thought we did a good job in the first half of our first and second down efficiency. I thought Fresno State's really strength defensively was if you were in 3rd and 7+, they have some exotic pressures, some exotic looks that can throw off not only your protection, but quarterbacks. And, in the first half, we were able to be in some really manageable positions. And, even though we had long fields, we were able to, sustain 2 drives and go up 14-13 going into halftime. And then in the second half, we did not hook up as well on our early downs. And you look up, and I think all 5 of them were 3rd and longs. And you get that defense. They do a great job. Their coach does a great job. It was something where the ball had to come out quick. And so we weren't making the sticks. And so it was a game of field position also that, look at us. I think we averaged a 20-yard line for the game. They averaged a 40-yard line in the first half, the 30-yard line in the second half. And, when you're not making the 3rd downs and not converting them on the road, that can sneak up on you. And it did for us. So the things that we were doing well in the first half did not take place in the second half.
And with your follow-up, Adam.
Yeah, coach. And then to follow up with that, on the offensive side specifically, JC, under a lot of pressure, but still as an offense, you guys did your best limiting the turnover battle itself. But just talk about how JC was, how maybe a performance like this, where everything maybe doesn't go right, he doesn't get to take as many snaps as he's expecting to in a game, and how that's going to help him develop heading into this week.
Yeah, I thought he played a really mature game. We've talked about winning the turnover battle, and we won it in that game, 3 turnovers to 1. And we finished +2. And, even his interception was a bad break for him, went to the right place with the ball, got the ball out on time. It was a bang play. I thought it might have been pass interference. The ref didn't see it that way. And you get a ball that bounces off the receiver's hands and goes to the next guy. He did not force a ball. It wasn't double coverage. It was an open piece of grass that he saw. He pulled the trigger, and all of a sudden it bounces off the hand of the wideout into the DB. So I thought he protected the ball well. I thought he made really good decisions. I was hoping that we'd hook up a little bit better. We called some passes early on 1st and 2nd down that, we missed. But overall, for his first game out, I saw maturity and a poise about him that was a lot different than this game last year, game 1 of last year, which really gave me hope, and I think gave hope to our entire offense. He spread it around to different guys. He found Cam Brown as a new receiver for us in some one-on-one situations. Obviously, he's extremely comfortable with Josh Dallas and Dalen Cobb. Was able to find our new tight end River Helms for a touchdown pass. So I like where he's at. Even ran the ball well. He got the ball out, didn't take sacks, and that's going to carry over. He's got to go be consistent with that, and a little bit, if there's a little bit area growth, it's just the accuracy on 1st and 2nd down. And when you get those opportunities, let's stay ahead of the chains. But overall, I'm pleased with his opening experience.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. Just curious your thoughts. Brandon and Chance both come away with the takeaways. You didn't give up a score in the air. I thought your defensive secondary, really limited what a team like that with a lot of speed on the edge can do. How can you kind of build on that moving forward with, how you really defended the pass?
Yeah, I think it's going to be important for us because obviously, our biggest area of growth defensively is going to be stopping the run. I thought that from an alignment assignment standpoint, we were not at our best and got out of some gaps, which has been untypical for us. And, Brandon does not mind putting those guys on islands outside to be able to stop the run. And that's part of our defense. And so we have a lot of faith in our DB core. They do a great job. Chance has proven himself, I think, as one of the better DBs in our conference and one of the better ones in the country. And so hopefully that will continue because we'll have to load the box against teams that can run the ball effectively and put those guys on islands and tell them to go do their job.
Thanks, Coach Helton. Appreciate the time today.
All righty, guys. Hail Southern.
Yeah, got a long way to go after week 1. Did not play well enough on offense to win a football game. Defensively, I thought in the second half played great, tackled really well, played really physical, made plays up front. On special teams played well. Offensively, we have to do the routine things better. One thing that we've been really good at, here for the last few years is we've been really efficient in the quick game and the pass game, and we weren't. Some of them throws are a little off, some of them are drops, some of them are right outside of our reach, whatever the case may be. Got to do that better. In the run game, we ran it effectively. kind of really couldn't get in a rhythm, being able to run the ball, being behind the sticks at times. And, I mean, the reality of it is, after week one, there's a lot of things you're going to have to fix. It's really disappointing whenever, you look back at the tape and it's just, it's one thing here and one thing there. And, offensively, we, got to get it fixed in a hurry. Otherwise, you're looking at some issues that'll last for, the rest of the season. So, results aside, after week one, there's going to be a lot of things to fix. And we knew that going into it. Unfortunately, we didn't come on the right side of the scoreboard. But, you got to pick yourself up and you got to get ready to go back to it. It's a long season. So no one's going to feel sorry for us. So we got to come out the corner swinging this week and get this thing on track, because I think what's most disappointing is how hard your guys have worked. You've seen it in practice. You've seen it throughout the course of the year. You know what they're capable of. You just want them to play to their capabilities. And, we just didn't do that on Saturday. So, got to go back to work and come out and just, play, do the routine things better, make the routine plays look routine, and go back there and just go do what we've done in practice. So, a lot of work to do this week with McGee's coming into town. They're a team, they're going to be fired up to come play, had a big week one win. So, we got to be ready to roll.
We'll open up now for questions for our media. Please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you, and we'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach. Kind of the theme with you guys was, having a little difficulty sustaining drives, like you mentioned, kind of being behind the line of scrimmage after a play or two on a drive, and just trying to be able to, make up that ground. With a first-year quarterback, what were some of the challenges you thought he may have encountered in terms of that part of the game?
Yeah, I think you have to give Rice some credit. They ate a bunch of clock on offense. They were taking the play clock down to 5 seconds and snapping it. And so our possessions felt like they were really, critical. And, I don't know if it was pressing a little bit from the guys, just as general on offense, but we had some really untimely penalties that certainly put us behind the sticks. In the second half, our field position was really poor. We converted really well on third and medium and third and long. Truthfully, it was a short yardage we weren't very good on, which is something we've been really good at. So, those are things that are a little bit disappointing, obviously. I think with a first-time quarterback, you need to play well around them. I mean, there's no question. You got to go out there and you got to go play well around them. And I don't think we did that at times. I think we gave up some pressures and situations we shouldn't have. Lost some one-on-ones there and put him in a pressure situation. I thought we had some catches we could have made that we didn't. Certainly, he's got to make some better throws in situations and things like that. But you got to play better around a first-time quarterback, and we didn't do that well enough in general. So we gotta just get back to playing better team ball, and we got to find the formula for this team to win, and what it takes for us to play team ball and win games. And certainly Saturday wasn't it, and we're gonna go back to it, and we just got to execute a lot cleaner.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. Defensively, Jaden and Terrence, I thought, had really good games. What did you see about the physicality from your defense over the weekend?
Yeah, anytime you play a team that's going to run the triple, physicality is at a premium. You gotta hold the point at the line of scrimmage. You got to win blocks. You got to create negative plays. You got to fly around on defense, and your linebackers are going to have to make a lot of plays. I thought the first half, I thought we held the line of scrimmage and held the point. I didn't feel like we did a great job of tearing off and making plays. And then, we just missed some tackles that went for explosives in the first half. At halftime, we kind of settled in. I thought we made those tackles. There were, really very few missed tackles in the second half. And our defensive line, I thought, really made some plays in the backfield in the second half and got them behind the sticks. And Terrence and Duggar, I thought they did a really good job running the defense, communicating, getting everybody lined up. Both those guys can really run. They play physical, but they fly around with the football. And I thought they did their job for us. I thought they did an excellent job of getting us lined up, getting the calls made, kind of getting everybody on the same page. And then they made a bunch of plays, through effort and, ability, playing downhill, striking, taking on blocks, and then running some things down. So, defensively, we played good enough on defense to win. And your inside linebackers in a game like that have to play really well, and they did. What we've got to do as a team is offensively, we've got to be able to get our defense some support there. We got to sustain some drives, got to score points naturally. 12 points is embarrassing. But it is what it is. We know that that's something that we got to work on. I know what we have in our locker room. I know we have in this building, and we're going to get it fixed, and we're going to get it moving this week.
Thanks, Coach Des. Appreciate the time today.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. Good to see everybody in week 2. Just want to say real briefly, what a great way to start off the year. Being at the vet, crowd was great, energy was great, student section was awesome. Really proud of our team's resiliency, especially in the fourth quarter, and excited to have another week to go get better and improve what we need to fix from game 1. I'll take questions. Thanks.
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. We'll start it off with Craig Stevenson.
Hey, Coach. Troy has a history of playing pretty well in these types of games. You played well at Iowa last year for most of the game. Anything you can take from that going into Clemson?
Well, we'll build on what we can and the history of what Troy historically has done and discuss those things. And then obviously be truthful as well. This roster is loaded. This is a different roster than the team we played at Iowa, and certainly anything that we've played since I've been here, and even better than some of the Clemson teams I've been a part of when I've played as an assistant coach. So we have our hands full. Our players will know that and understand that, turn the film on, but we'll certainly celebrate also us going to go compete and do what our program stands for in doing so, and make sure and push our players as we prepare for them.
Also, could you just talk about the running back room now that you don't have Trey out for the year? And I assume he's eligible for a medical red shirt if he wants to have one.
Yeah, so as far as we're certainly going to have to develop backs 3 and 4. You know, it'll take 3 or 4 backs to get us through a year, knock on wood. So we'll have to do a really good job of continuing to develop some of our guys that are on down our depth chart, and then push Jordan Lovett and Tay Meadows to continue to ascend. We will, when we're allowed to through the NCAA and all those things in the year after surgery and all those things, apply all the necessary paperwork to get Trey a medical red shirt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jump over to Billy.
Hey, Coach, just kind of building off that, I thought Tay had an outstanding performance. And I thought for the most part, you know, Goose made a lot of really good decisions and was really kind of quarterbacking the offense. What did you see from both of them in their performances?
I'll start with Goose. I think, you know, everybody, you have to remember it's been about 11 months since he's done it, you know, and 11 months since he's been hit. I thought he did a really good job of taking on contact way better than he did a year ago. I loved how physical he played when he got a chance to be a runner, and played aggressive. He was almost too urgent with some of his drops and things where he could have been even better than he was. But overall, in a game 1 and coming back from all he'd been through, I was really very proud of him and his steps taken for game 1. With Tay Meadows, I think his improvement and who he's become as a player has happened in 2 off seasons, and was not surprised by his ability to find yards and do what he did in this football game. I think, you know, the biggest key now is an understanding of what it'll take to sustain that and continue to improve to be who we'll need him to be as the year continues.
Let's go over to Adam Miller.
Coach Parker, you've had a lot of time to reflect. Obviously, instant reactions post game to, you know, the team's resolve to make that big comeback in the fourth quarter Saturday. You know, what are some of the things that you learned about your team, maybe after the fact, having time to process and reflect, see film, things you learned about your team going through that, where, you know, you can learn a lot about your team, you know, in those types of situations in a first game of the season, to play from behind, come back, and not only do that win, but get a full buy-in from the team. What did you learn about your team?
Well, it's certainly good. This is hard. You all know this. Everybody's gone through and covered this in many ways and seen it. Winning's hard. And I think for us to get tested early, to have to show some resilience, to not panic, and find a way to improve in a hurry is always healthy to do. You'd rather it all be easy, but it's not going to be, especially in this league. So I was very proud of our football team to show resilience and not show some things that maybe showed last year in the beginning of the year. I thought we kind of battled adversity very, very well. And then, of course, now the next step is we have to be ready to play better sooner and be more disciplined in order to not get behind and play in such a way that you would have to answer the bell in the second half that way.
Thanks, Coach Parker. Appreciate the time today.
Yep. Thank you all.
Yeah, it was obviously a tough test we had in Athens, and, you know, came out on the short end of the stick. And, you know, the sad part is we never gave ourselves a chance. We made way too many mistakes on both sides of the ball. Couldn't get any rhythm going. But looking forward now to opening up at home against a group of 5 opponent, and looking forward to this place being packed and getting back on track.
We'll open up now for questions for our media. Please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Coach Gibson, you kind of just got to talk about it a little bit, just your first time seeing your team in a game, but also your first time coaching this group. So what were some of the things you felt like you learned about your team that are positive that you're going to be able to take into this first home game?
Yeah, I think that our guys, they love playing football. They like each other. I thought that we kept fighting. And saw some good things late in the game with Zion Turner came in. And the big focus for us was not turning the ball over, no pre-snap penalties. We did a really good job with that. So, no takeaways and didn't have a lot of sloppy penalties pre-snap. So I was pleased with that. Something to grow on and work towards, but we just have to focus better, do the little details of things better. And I thought we had a really good practice yesterday. And kids are, the game's flushed and we're moving on. We have a new opponent that's pretty good. So
let's go over to Billy.
Yeah, Coach. I just kind of wanted to, extend on that. In a game like that, you want to try to focus on the little things. Your special teams, where you guys are lining up, how is everybody communicating? And you said your team flushed it, we're moving on, you're going home, you get to be around the fans, be around the environment. How important do you think a game like that is to learn those lessons, especially, you're going to go on the road in the Sun Belt, you're going to play other teams on the road. How important is a game like that to really kind of seal in that communication and that effort?
Yeah, it was great to for our kids to experience that. 94,000. I don't think we'll play in front of a crowd like that the rest of this year. But what was good is, you're going to a place where there's really good players, really well coached team. And again, we struggled with the little details of things. We had some really good calls, both offensively and defensively, that we didn't execute. So, we have to be better as a staff. Our players have to be better with those small details. But to get that on film and be able to teach that was huge for us. And to go in that type of environment with a team that's they've won 32 straight home games. So those seniors on that roster of Georgia have never lost a home game. And we knew we had a tall task in front of us, and and we didn't get it done. So we have to learn, and hopefully we take a big stride this week and get our guys back into some normalcy. And we had a lot of distractions around here with concerts and different things going on, building a new deck. We had to go practice off-site for a couple of times last week. So, we're back in the swing of it now, and hopefully we can get back on track.
Let's go back over to Adam.
Coach Gibson, you got to play a lot of different guys, especially 3 different guys under center. But what were some of the things that you felt like the quarterback room, did really well, specifically in this game? Obviously, with the challenges that were presented, things that you liked from each of the guys.
Yeah, again, starting off with, we didn't turn the ball over. We didn't give up a sack, and they pressured a bunch. So, give our offensive line credit for that, and our quarterbacks. I mean, they got rid of the ball when there was nothing there. I thought Zion came in again late and was calm, understood what we wanted, got the ball out on time, did some really good things. I thought Carlos gave us a spark coming in. He was able to run the ball effectively a couple of times. So happy with that. And then Jakai, that was his first start, and probably a little unfair to him. I mean, his last start was at Parkersburg High School, and then his first start in college is, at Georgia. So, but I thought once he settled in, he had command, and we just couldn't get anything going. So, but I was pleased with those guys, and they're taking it they're putting a lot on themselves, especially a guy like Jakai that got his first start. And, I think he beat himself up a little bit after the game. And, we have to flush it and move on. And we're going to need all three of those guys moving forward.
Thanks, Coach Gibson. Appreciate the time today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, first of all, really appreciative of all of our efforts, of our players in a lot of areas. I thought we really controlled the momentum of the game right from the start, even though we had a real challenging first quarter. I thought we displayed complementary football. In the second quarter, we were able to outgain them 188 to 14 in total yardage. I thought obviously in maintaining that momentum, but the real shift was when we generated the turnover, and then we were able to respond and score 7 points on offense. And from that point forward, we scored 35 unanswered points. It was 42-10 with about 9 minutes to go in the game. We had 4 consecutive 3-and-outs. So that was great, but it wasn't perfect. But I liked the way our guys responded. I thought we played hard, and I thought we played together. And there was a lot of growth associated with that. Some things in moving forward, we talk about start fast and finish strong. We did not do that. We had some real JV moments at times, particularly, when our backups went in there, and that's a great lesson that the standard doesn't change. We don't compete to a scoreboard, and these individuals are given opportunities to put their football identity on video. I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned, and we're going to need to apply those lessons rather quickly. When you play a team like Arkansas, they will expose you, and they'll expose you in a hurry. They force you to basically execute on a consistent basis, and your margin of error is very small. So for this week, we have to lean into the many challenges that this week presents, and we must be a much better football team. I think, you look at the start to the season, I think you're hard pressed that anyone has a start to the season like we have in terms of playing a conference champion and playoff team in SEMO at the FCS level, and then playing an SEC team with Arkansas, and then playing a team that's picked to win or should win the Big 12 conference in Iowa State. So again, our growth as a football team has to be expedited and sped up immensely. So I will pause and answer any questions y'all may have.
Thank you, Coach. We'll have our first questions from Luke Matheson.
Coach Jones, was there anybody that, after looking at the film, that really stood out to you, that stepped up, that you needed to step up? And then also, you mentioned Arkansas being another level SEC team. What are the things about the Razorbacks that concern you this week?
Well, I think to answer your last question first, this is an SEC opponent. I spent 8 years in that league, have a tremendous amount of respect for that league. I think what you saw across the country in week 1 is SEC football is at an elite level. The bodies are different. The size is different. The speed of the game is different. The tenacity is different. So there's going to be a monumental speed change. And I think when you play games like this, it's really evident in the lines of scrimmage, but probably in all 3 phases, the biggest difference is in the special teams games. The special teams game changes, but they've done a really good job in the portal of adding quality players at positions of need. Obviously for them, it starts with Green, the quarterback. He manages the game. He can run, he can throw. So again, this is a real quality SEC opponent, really good football team. And all you have to do is watch video and that. I have a lot of respect for their program and what Coach Pittman has built there. So a great challenge in terms of guys stepping up for us. We had a number of individuals, when you look at it, 9 of our 11 starters on defense had never taken a rep at Arkansas State before. So I think just the constant growth, the connection associated with which we talked about, our style of play, the energy with which we want to play with. I thought there was a lot of teaching opportunities, but a lot of growth, immaturity that really happened. But as we all know, the level of competition picks up, the quality of opponent picks up. And so the mistakes that maybe the common person didn't see watching the game. That's why I said Arkansas will expose you in a hurry if you don't work to fix your blinking red lights and also your your flaws and your deficiencies in moving forward.
Let's go over to Jeremy Harper.
Hey, Coach, great game last weekend. But at the press conference, you had mentioned that there were some things that happened in the game that you won't be able to get away with against presumably Arkansas and Iowa State. You said the next three opponents. Oh, is there anything specific that stood out?
Well, I think there was a number of things. And, first of all, when you play an opponent like Arkansas, you can't beat yourself. And, what players have to understand is plays are off of plays and they accumulate. So I'll give you an example. We have 1st and goal at the 3-yard line and the receiver gets called for a pre-snap penalty. We don't respect the neutral zone. We're moving. So it's a 5-yard penalty. It sets the play back and then we fumble the next play. And those are all things to be the team that we want to be. We can't beat ourselves. It's the mental discipline. It's the discipline to execute over time, things like that. Breakdowns in coverage, some missed assignments, some missed run fits. And then, offensively, a couple times the pocket collapsed and Jalen did a great job of kind of bailing us out. When you play an Arkansas team, that's going to be a hot pocket and, we're going to have a quarterback sack. So I think there was a number of times where we should have had some negative plays on offense that ended up being explosive plays for us. And so, you always look at as a coach, you can't be blinded by the outcome and the result of the play. So a lot of times it's a what if. Well, what if this would have happened or what if that would have happened? And that's how we coach and that's how we learn and that's how we get better from it.
Let's go over to Charles.
Coach, what's going on, man?
Hey, Charles.
So you guys rushed for about 150 yards on Saturday. We've talked about how tough that Arkansas defense is. What's it going to take for you guys to have a good ground game this week?
Well, I think it's consistency and understanding that 3 and 4 yards, the dirty yards are good runs. And, possessing the football and being patient, they challenge you in so many ways because also, you're preparing for multiple looks. They're extremely multiple on defense. They do a good job in how they deploy their players. They've added to their back end with 2 really, really good corners in the transfer portal. And so when you really look at what they've been able to do and address their needs as a program, they've been able to do that. But, just the level of physicality, the speed of the game, all those things, you're going to have to strain all the way through the blocks. You're going to have to move your feet and you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to take what they give you.
Take a final question here from Luke.
Coach, obviously this is the first time these two programs have played. 31 states have in-state FBS teams that play. We're the 31st that's going to play this game. Ultimately, I know you're worried about Arkansas State and the future of Arkansas State and throughout the season being successful. But why do you feel this game means for the state of Arkansas, but also do you feel this game should be played more often after this?
Well, I think first of all, it presents a great, great challenge. Let's make no mistake about that. But when you look at, the 2 Division I programs, the 2 FBS programs coming together and playing for the first time, that's one of significance. And I don't even know if that'll ever happen again. And then, which adds to the significance is playing it in the state capital of Little Rock. So I think there's a lot of things, that you don't take for granted. But for us, we have to stay focused on the task at hand and lean into the many challenges that Arkansas presents. But I know for the entire state of Arkansas, I think it's really, really healthy. I think for the state of college football, it's extremely healthy, and all the events going on and the event at the governor's mansion before the game on Friday with both universities, both institutions being there. I just think, in today's world of collegiate athletics and where we're going, to be able to have your in-state schools play each other, I think there's a lot of health that goes into our industry with that. So I'm fortunate that we're playing this game. I know Southern Miss played Mississippi State, and I thought that was that was great. Obviously, I know for Charles and for that program and for that state, now for us to be playing, Arkansas, I think that's big. We all understand the challenges that it presents. But I do think it's extremely healthy for the state of Arkansas.
Thanks, Coach Jones. Appreciate the time today.
Have a great rest of your week.
Yeah. Played a very good football team in Indiana. And we just made too many mistakes to give ourselves a chance to win against a top 20 team on the road. We had our opportunities, obviously getting off to an early lead and those sort of things, but ultimately we can't turn it over 3 times. And then, we just did some other things like a punt return and that sort of things, that too many mistakes that are going to allow you to win that game. So looking forward to getting back in front of our fans in SB Ballard Stadium and play a very, very good North Carolina Central team on Saturday.
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. Start off with Adam Miller.
Coach Rahne, especially in the first half, but then overall, you see the final line. But how did you feel about the performance of your pass rush and secondary? You guys were able to limit a lot of damage through the air. Understandably, the ground game was a little tougher to defend, but specifically your team's pass defense, how did you feel overall about that?
Yeah, I thought we did. Thought we played pretty well. We need to continue to get off blocks and generate a little bit of a rush. I thought we were there. I thought we had some opportunities to get some other sacks and create some other issues, and we just didn't quite get home. And then I thought we played very well in red zone pass defense and defended a couple fades and did some things like that. And obviously that ended up being a big story in the game. But we got to continue to make strides there. We gave up some plays there that we probably shouldn't have. And then, obviously we've got to continue to do better against the run. And really that's with technique and fundamentals. We've got to get off blocks better, and we got to tackle and step and strike with our near foot, near shoulder. Much better than we did in the last game.
Let's go over to Michael Langston.
Hey, Coach. Mike from the Monarchist here. One thing I noticed on offense was they sealed the edges really well in the run game, forcing almost every run into the inside. Is there something we can do to kind of fix that moving forward?
Yeah, they did a nice job of playing sound defense. Obviously, one of Colton's, the 75-yarder was on the edge and that sort of thing. But I thought they did a nice job of playing sound defense. What they were able to, take away some of the attachments and some of those sort of things. And we've got to be able to take advantage of really being able to push the ball down the field and do some of those sort of things in order to open up, the run game. I think that's one of the things that, people don't always understand. There's sometimes you've got to throw the ball to open up the run. There's other times you got to run the ball to open up the pass. And so, I think that it's a little bit, we just have to execute at a higher level in order to get the ball on the perimeter a little bit more.
Jump over to Billy Mangum.
Hey, Coach. I was just curious, building off of Colton's performance, obviously really good with his legs, struggled a little bit in the air. What did you think about his performance and, moving forward with your home opener this weekend?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think he allowed us to create some explosive plays. And then I think he made pretty sound decisions. I know you're going to see the 3 interceptions and think that's not true, but if you go back and look at the decision making, the decisions were actually pretty good decisions. We just, maybe the passes off, one kind of bounced off of our hands and that sort of thing. So, that's what I was really proud of. I thought he made decisions with conviction. And I thought he was aggressive, but ultimately I thought he was seeing things and making the type of choices that are eventually going to lead to us having an explosive offense and moving down and scoring the amount of points we need to win games like that.
Let's go back over to Adam Miller.
Coach Rahne, I wanted to ask you one more question specifically about Ian Brandt. Obviously, as the special teams as a whole, you didn't want to give up that long punt return, which happened early in the game. But overall, his performance, I mean, he's the guy you don't probably want to see on the field unless you really, really need him, because that means your offense didn't get his job done. But, when he was, I mean, almost 51 yards a kick, couple, fair catches, some inside the 20 kicks. Just how did he help you guys at least turn the field a few times? And what did you think of his effort overall?
Well, I actually do want to see Ian on the field because he's our holder. So I want to see him out there as much as possible. I just don't want to ever see him kick again. But no, I mean, he did a great job. I mean, even the punt return for a touchdown, I mean, he kicked it really, really well, and the guy didn't catch it. And then it bounced around back there. And then let's be honest, we slowed up. We didn't play with effort all the way through the whistle, which had been one of our trademarks, and we didn't do it on that one. But I thought that Ian played really well. Thought he being able to be run into, or whatever interpretation on that one is, I thought he did a nice job, because he's able to come back on the very next kick, and I mean, he absolutely hammered it. So he's a great athlete, tremendous young man. Was a walk-on who earned a scholarship here, and I think he showed what we've been really seeing in practice for a few years now.
Take a final question here from Michael.
In the second quarter, it seemed like you guys started to cycle in more defenders. Was that a plan ahead of time, or just a reaction to how the game was going?
Well, we know we have to be able to play more guys. And obviously we have a rotation of how some guys are going to go. It's not always necessarily a second quarter thing. Some are by drive, some are by plays and things like that. But we do know that we think we have depth that can play. And in order to survive a whole season, you're going to have to play it. And particularly in a game like that, where they were really huddling and trying to run the ball and do those sort of things. We knew we were going to have to cycle in some other guys and get some guys in there in order to stay fresh and give us our best chance to win.
Thanks, Coach Rahne. Appreciate the time today.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Happy Labor Day to everybody. I hope you guys are enjoying your holiday with your respective families. I know you guys are still working and all, but disappointing outcome from this weekend's game. Obviously not enough execution, discipline, or consistency to play a team or beat a team of that caliber. Learned a lot about our football team, and I think it's going to really help us moving forward. So looking forward to getting back today and kind of correcting some of those mistakes and getting ready for another challenging opponent coming up this week.
We'll open up now for questions. We'll start with Rob J.
Okay, Coach, thank you so much for your time. Just your immediate thoughts on Jackson State, your immediate concerns?
Yeah, I've known Coach Taylor a long time, man. He's done a really good job. You can tell they have an identity. They're physical on defense. They got good size. They're physical. They fly around. You can see they play with energy. Offensively, their quarterback is a playmaker. I know their running backs, they've got a bunch of running backs. I'm not sure the starter played this past week, but anticipating him being able to play gives them some juice in the backfield. And you have that dual threat option between the running backs and the quarterback that can run the ball and make all the throws. It puts you in a lot of conflict. With where college football is now, when you have a mobile quarterback, it really challenges defenses. Obviously, from a holistic standpoint, Coach Taylor's done a really good job. This is year one for us, but he's kind of got his program and his footprint all over that program. Their identity, their competitiveness is really high. So it's going to be a challenge. We don't look at them as where college football is now. You can't say one's FCS, FBS. It doesn't matter. There's good players all over the country now. And I think obviously Jackson State has done a really good job of recruiting some good talented players. So it's going to be a challenge. We didn't play overly disciplined and consistent. So we got a lot of things that we got to get cleaned up, or Hattiesburg High School will beat us.
Thank you, Coach.
Go over to Scott Watkins.
Hey, good morning, Coach. Your new offensive lineman, Blake Bustard. One, when did that come together? And two, how did he earn that playing time so quickly?
Gosh, boy, you guys don't miss anything. I mean, you guys are like on it. Obviously, Blake has been in a NCAA appeal process decision. And I guess once he got it done, he decided he wanted to leave. He emailed our compliance people and asked, if he enrolled in school and was accepted, would we have a spot for him on the team? And our compliance people sent it over to our recruiting department, and we told them we still had space for, any player, not specifically him. And he showed up and went through the admissions process and came over to our compliance people and said, "I'm here." And he walked in, and the first time I saw him, I'm like, well, these are the walk-ons you're looking for. And then he worked his tail off. Obviously O-line is something that we've always wanted to kind of shore up. So we wanted to make sure that we had the best possible, connections or the best possible options. So for him to get in there and get some reps Saturday was really good. It's going to give us some depth as we continue to grow.
Jump over to Billy Mangum.
Hey, Coach Huff. Just curious your analysis of Braylon's performance and what you saw out of him this weekend.
Yeah, I thought he did some good things. He didn't take care of the ball the way we wanted to. He ended up turning it over, and then there were probably another 2 or 3 throws that were a little risky. But I thought what he was seeing was good. I thought his feedback coming off the field was good. His energy was good. He still, has the ability to make plays. I thought he did a really good job of that. Obviously, I'm not sure we put him in the best position all the time with some of the things we were trying to, negate with the game plan and what we thought, Mississippi State's strengths were. So sometimes that puts some guys in some tough positions. But I thought he played well. Obviously we want to continue to help him take care of the ball and put him in situations where he can do that. But from a quarterback, from a leader perspective, I don't know what his stats were. You don't look at the stats when you lose. But from a quarterback leader perspective, I thought he did a really good job.
Let's go back over to Scott.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask about the status on Kyron Heath. He left that game a little early.
Yeah, I mean, my 13-year-old son gets a bigger boo-boo than he did. Actually, it was in the moment, obviously, you don't have the pictures and the x-rays and the doctor, all of those things, but he's good. He'll be back. He'll be back practicing today. We don't, in the moment, you don't have those, readily available answers. So you protect the young man. But he was good. He did his lift and regen and hydration and rehab yesterday, and we'll be out there today, ready to go. He's a tough kid. I joked with him on the sideline. I was like, "You like your little sling," but no, he wanted to go back in the game, but without the proper images and all of that, we wanted to make sure we were good. But he'll be back this week.
Thanks, Coach Huff. Appreciate the time today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Just very excited about the result last weekend. Excited for our team to get off to a 1-0 start. It's great to be able to play at home. Really appreciate the city of Mobile and our fans coming out to Hancock Whitney Stadium. Had a great showing. Had a good time pregame. Had a lot of people there. First game, first atmosphere for a lot of students to start the school year. So just very pleased to have a good Saturday and get a win. That being said, getting ready to play a really good football team in Tulane.
All right, we'll open up now for questions for our media. Please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. We'll start off with Adam Miller.
Coach, popular question, but you've gotten to see some tape stuff and things like that now, but just the performance of Bishop Davenport and what you thought out of him. He took 1 sack, but 12 of 14, efficient, gets the ball out, keeps the chains moving for you guys. What were some of the things that you thought were really good about his performance?
Other than the sack there on the 4th down, I thought he played well and did what we asked that day. For him and just went out and executed with confidence and stayed very in tune on the sideline as to our adjustments and what we wanted to do from series to series. So pleased to see him kind of pick up where he left off in the bowl game in terms of just the overall flow of a starter and the way he operated. And we played against a good football team. We're getting ready to play against a really, really, really good football team, really good defense. So he's going to have a great challenge this week against Tulane.
Let's go over to Billy Mangum.
Hey, Coach Applewhite. I thought Kentrell and PJ, really had a lot of good runs. That running back room is looking really good. How do you think that kind of helps the offense, not only with yardage and points, but it kind of takes a little bit of pressure off of, everybody else when they're able to pick up chunk yards like that?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you said. You know, having been that position before and played with great backs, whether it be high school or college, it takes a lot of pressure off of you. It takes a lot of pressure off of the play caller too, in terms of being able to turn around and hand the ball and know that you're going to be in manageable situations. So we need to continue to grow at all positions, but at those positions and just in general, you know, our ball security Saturday night was less than be desired. So we got to do a better job of protecting the football at all positions. Wideouts did not have a fumble. Quarterbacks and running backs did. You know, so obviously all the positions that we exposed the ball, we've got to do a better job of that Saturday.
Let's jump over to Jeff Clark.
Hey, Coach, you were talking about Bishop Davenport, and you mentioned this Saturday night, like, you know, getting him out in the first game, kind of getting over his first game jitters. But you are facing, as you just said, a very good defense John Summerall is bringing to town Saturday night. So how are you going to get him prepared for that? And do you hoping to throw the ball downfield more, do more vertical throws, that sort of thing?
Yeah, you know, you're going to have to open things up more, you know, as you go along, and people are able to kind of fall in line with what you're doing. So yeah, certainly there will be more new wrinkles, and that'll be everybody in the country week 2. They'll show more of who they are as they get into conference play for sure. You know, but to prepare him, you know, the eyes, everything starts with your eyes. So you have to get an idea for who people are, where they're at, why they're aligned there, what their intentions are. You know, excuse me, what their tendencies are, you know, based on those alignments, you know, and then you can kind of get an idea of their rules sometimes. And sometimes, you know, the DBs do a really good job and make it hard for you to figure out what they're doing. But that's really where everything starts in terms of training his eyes early in the week as to what they look like. Yes, sir.
Go back over to Adam Miller.
Coach, and again, with the, you know, coming off the Morgan State game, you guys were in the backfield a lot against Morgan State, very disruptive. You know, going into the Tulane game, how important is that going to be, you know, with the quarterback that they have who can really use his legs? He can also throw it. He can do a lot of things, presents a lot of challenges to your defense, but, you know, something you learn about your defense that's going to help you in that matchup and the challenge that Tulane
Sure.
presents.
It is going to be a challenge. You know, Bohannon, Miles, you know, Shaq, there's a lot of good skill out there on the perimeter. They have length at the tight end position, a lot of experience on the left side of their defensive line, experienced quarterbacks. So even if one doesn't play or play well, they've got others. This is not the Tulane I grew up watching at all in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Not at all. This is a really good football team, very deep on both sides of the ball. They rotate a lot. And 12, I want to pronounce his name correctly, but Retzloff, I believe is how you say his name, but 12 is phenomenal. You know, I love watching him play because what he can slide of hands, he's got fast hands. He can get the ball out, makes quick decisions. He sees small separation as open, and he'll take those opportunities. And, you know, and obviously in this day and age, you've got great pass rushers and great athletes up front. He can keep plays alive and extend plays. So it is going to be a huge challenge to corral that offense.
Thanks, Coach Applewhite. Appreciate the time today.
Thank you all.